Thank you Yasuo for that moving performance. It just goes to show that those afflicted with these syndromes can be talented when they aren't busy single-handedly ruining games. And now I wanted to read the words of someone I recently met struggling with a bad case of the Vlad syndrome after one of our games together. Hey Lulu. I tripled your damage, I'm kinda the goat. I triple your damage, I'm goated mid diff. I'm built diff. I slay put hundreds. About to hit gold 1. Whoops, I mean 4. Sincerely, a man who had just gone 4 and 14 on my team with a rather severe case of Vladimir syndrome. Symptoms of which include greeting every single time your Q gets empowered to suck someone off, thinking all your misposition problems will just melt away like you do when you W, and telling others you can single-handedly make a difference in the world with your game-changing ult like some petty politician, only to not even do the single thing you promised you would do when you got in there. But since tonight is all about awareness, I was able to find the footage preceding our Vlad's inspirational post-game speech to educate the crowd here on the severity of such syndromes. Now my experience with the vampire who was clearly into blood type B negative took place in the southern rift hemisphere on dead peacock carcass Caitlyn alongside my banging internet GF who was caging pixie kiddos left and right, prompting hopscotch homicide attempts out of the rabbit only to noggin bomb the wrong target, so we sent her running and I am ready to go back to farming simulator, but the blonde was set on proving that she's not just a pretty face and a nice rack that shoots lasers, no, she was gonna hold her own. Introducing Count Succula himself, more blind and out of place than a cave cricket on the floor of a food court during a flash mob, but it's fine, he can just do that misposition melt that he holds to get that 4.5 extra damage tick instead of draining himself out of danger, which ends up causing him a post-fusion flash, but it's alright because like a girl telling her mom she was born to be in the adult film industry, sucking gives him life, so he comes back to the wave to do just that. But the floating AIDS infector is like, I know Draco has no flash, so you know what I am going to do? Burn mine to accomplish absolutely nothing and then dot up the dumb douche till he dies. And I guess this warrants him to say that the man who killed him is kinda cringe, bro. But in my opinion, what is cringe is seeing your jungler acting like he just walked in on his mom opening the custom anal beads she ordered, bum rushing the shit away from something haunting, and your first thought is to go blindly check it out for yourself, which long story short lands you right in between a rock and a hard place. But you're not about to 127 hours this shit and cut your arm off to get yourself unstuck. No, you can just do that loser liquidation tactic, which'll surely do the trick until you get void dementored and dicked hard. If only there was some sort of warning sign. So a pinky in the stinky to prevent future blatantly obvious surprises is progress until he desk pops his menstrual cycle, which is fine. Maybe it even prevented a piss suck out of floating Aladdin, but instead of waiting for it to be back up, he has to take advantage of that full Blumpkin bar suck status, and 9 out of 9 times this wouldn't have turned into some Romeo and Juliet bullshit and ended worse if Mal's wasn't holding his ult for next season. That said, bot lane is still a fluster fiasco as the pixie shit dressed like a waddling bruised calamari and Little Miss No Stopping This Hopping are just rapid fire getting tied up, titty lasered and taken back to base. And this Hoppy Helen homicide allowed us to Pokemon Go the shit out of a moldy Dragonite in river, which gives red velvet flavored Lord Voldemort here an easy push wave and back opportunity, but his bitch bar is beaming again, which means Jim Carrey and Yes Man impersonation about to come out when he should have just said no, so he earns himself that lava sloppy gloppy 9000, which gets his flash and flips him back to fountain. Then I may be speculating here, but I would think an underleveled flashless feeding fucktard just blindly seasoning a tier 1 tower with his useless autos would stand out like a blue dick on a pig to any enemy team. So show of hands, who is surprised that 3 people collapsed on him and gave him a prompt one-handed round of applause against his ass? I see no hands. Okay, let's move on then, because it's worth noting that mid and jungle diffs go together like peanut butter and rotten jelly when it comes to making me sick that this is the combo I got stuck with. But this little circus charade gets both self-certified freaks out of the fight with not one fatality. Yippee, says Rav in a depressed but temporarily relieved voice. But this bald Phantom of the Opera fanboy just had a super fetish for dangerous thrill, like those idiots who film themselves hanging from construction beams like 6,000 feet in the sky as he just continues pushing the limits until a strong wind or a drunk bird in the form of 4 people ends up hitting him, causing his little desperado dance with danger to end in death. Now at this point this is looking like a standard solo queue game, teams calling for a quorum of quitters. My KDA isn't one worth making your profile pic on Tinder. Floaty Frederick over here still has flash to funnel suck the soul out of my shitter. My team is treating teamfights like a ride at Disney World and lining up one at a time to participate. Paired with Count Got Smacked Oolah on my team being all blood no brains, and you are probably wondering why I am still playing this piss pit of a game. But he is still a Vlad at the end of the day, which means even in the midst of basically suiciding in the dead center of the blue squad, he can still remind any ADC that they aren't worthy of existing, and Rav Daddy wasn't about to let some win-spinning shit stain contribute to the statistic of morons who get undeserved wins playing such champs. So basically Mama Rav didn't raise no bitch, and I was fin to prove this fact when the 16th time Bad Vlad got Galaxy slurped. I grabbed Blondie and we informed him that bullying the stupid kid on the Rift won't be tolerated anymore. And I guess his way of showing gratitude for us bailing his bloody bitch ass out is by getting in an intense 1v1 with blue buff, and then instead of doing us all a service by putting himself in base as a change of pace from letting the enemies do it for him, he decides greed for 3 minions that he doesn't even get because that cosmic praying mantis just loves himself a dose of dumb douche, and if it wasn't for Gigantor rolling a world record sized disco dicking his way, this would have gone unpunished. And I swear this dude could double as a smoke detector because he was super annoying and would never shut the fuck up, but I had better things to worry about, like the Mr. Demacia pretentious dick diff going on up top. But it turns out the combination of Mr. Waternoose, a blonde beamer, and Widowmaker are enough to cast the raid boss in the next Saw movie. But as my homeboy Newton put in his third law of motion, for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, and this piece of pussy drainage was that opposite reaction and more, as he once again put duct tape over his mini-map, took the seatbelt off, floored the gas and said "we," at which point I was just wishing someone could smother him in tampons. Then it was such a celebratory moment when this maroon moron actually grouped with us that we ordered the biggest glitterball on the internet, said cover it in grapefruit jizz and let's party, and what better game to get things rolling than my personal favorite, lacerate the large levitating loser. That said, me and my banging internet GF started using his own ineptitude to our advantage. You see, we would wait for him to get caught, then limp off injured like a deer that just ran into oncoming traffic, which put them in a spot to be stacked up like hotcakes and delivered that sweet sweet syrup. It's worth noting the Dragonfly did dab on my lady, but a bit of drum setting on my keyboard to do a combo that looked cool was enough to avenge her. And I don't know if you ever heard the wives' tale to stand still if you run into a bear, pretend to be a statue type bullshit, but I can confirm firsthand that it doesn't work against Garen's #shocked emoji, and sure enough, escaping danger is always followed by diving back into it, so it's no surprise you find yourself stuck eating slimy shit off the floor to stay alive, and this sort of rock bottom could really change a man. You know, get their act together, stop playing League altogether, become happy, get a job. If kids trade talk big cock game about cryptocurrency with your pretentious co-workers because you all use cologne on your ball sacks, and your petty wives are lucky to have sex with your out of shape hyperventilating bodies type of life. But no, not this Vlad. He is born to be a daredevil till the day he dies. Which brings us to the drag diner experience, and I will let you decide what was more impressive about this play: the baton babe stealing it from 4 people with her or me both itemizing correctly and actually remembering to use said item. I think any regular viewer of this channel knows that the correct answer is obvious, but if it isn't, this is where you tell me I'm fucking pretty. Anyways, we then quest up north to imbue ourselves with the sacred purple jizz, but the twirling titan would like to insert himself into the party uninvited, which is chill because after like 65 abilities later we proc his little rage baby boner. So then when he inconspicuously tries to leave like he wasn't just attempting multiple homicide, we're like, whoa there bro, pay your taxes. So I get the shutty on that one before firing a prompt ace in the a-hole for the double, and then a little game of Where's Waldo ends in me both finding and then shooting Waldo in the face. And to anyone saying that my first QSS usage was a fluke, like I had a hiccup or a spasm on that key at the right time, let's do a double or nothing you mofos, as I even killed his little deformed crab dogs to kick him before he went down. And I know you are probably wondering if there is a giant stuffed animal up for grabs based off of how hard they are throwing in this game, but I want to let you know that while Rav's been rocking a Mal's ult free since minute 23 tattoo on his gooch, Draco Malfoy was still getting caught trying to stick the Sorcerer's Stone up his shithole. So I cake some baby powder on my shoulders in preparation for some sweaty losers to saddle up on there as my support gets Project B drilled, and I just barely win the second round of that shitter's peekaboo Scooby-Doo type of nonsense. But then there was a bigger problem, and this one just kept shouting Demacia like it was the name of his fraternity at the Ivy League school that he only got into because either his daddy was a Demacia Alpha Omega alum 30 years ago and agreed to a 3-way with his Greek brother and that guy's biological sister who is now the dean, or some messed up shit where Lori Laughlin's checkbook was involved. But anyways, I informed this spin shitter that this ain't build a bitch and that he doesn't get to pick and choose into tryst. If you don't play this perfect, I will murder you Bella Porch combo. And I guess my little lifetime highlight where I got lucky and kited a bronze Garen probably playing on an Etch-a-Sketch motivated him to go try to 1v the world all by his dumb brainless lonesome, and he starts things off strong by burning his defensives, but this is where Riot needs to check themselves because this dude has repetitively wrecked himself proving that an actual platypus is operating the keyboard and mouse at that house, and he still took a fed Kaz and dragged him over to the recycle bin with ease. And then he put up a pretty stellar fight against the drifting douche too, which of course prompts him to inform us all that he is online now, which was just in time considering we took Elder and ended the game before he spawned again. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was the performance that preceded his inspirational post-game speech you all heard a few minutes ago. Stay sexy, Rav out.
With Gabby boy, I'm in your crib with the blappy boy. Talk to me slick and I'm popping your pappy. If happy talk back, then I'm taking your Grammy, and boy oh boy, I'll make her happy. Let's go.